So imagine it's your 18th birthday and you're Robert Darrow. You've got decades of Oscars, iconic roles, industry respect, and suddenly you get a mysterious gift basket in the mail. It's got overpriced wine, luxury trinkets, and a little tag that screams HR like it's a royal decree. You probably raise an eyebrow, maybe laugh a little because yes, that's exactly what happened. Meghan Markle, former actress, duchess by marriage, and now full-time brand builder, thought she was pulling off a slick Hollywood move. Instead, she got roasted. See, Meghan sent this HR-labeled gift basket to Darrow, likely expecting him to gush over it, maybe post a thank you, maybe boost her brand just a little. But Robert Darrow is not that guy. He's not some influencer hungry for freebies. He's a blunt, old-school zeros legend. And the moment he saw what was inside $90 homemade wine, $120 artisanal items, he reportedly dismissed it outright. Not just dismissed it, but torched the entire stunt by basically saying, I don't need this, I don't even want this. That wasn't just a rejection, that was a kill shot. But let's back up. Meghan Markle has been walking a very fine line since stepping back from royal duties. She says she left the palace life to carve her own path to be independent. But she hasn't really let go of the one thing that gave her global attention, the royal branding. That HR tag is technically something she's not even supposed to use anymore. Yet she keeps clinging to it like it's her last lifeline to relevance. And this basket, it was soaked in it. It wasn't a sweet gesture. It was a loaded PR stunt dressed up in ribbon. To Hollywood insiders, it rire. It didn't say happy birthday. It screamed, please let me back in. That's where everything went south. Because in Hollywood, image is currency. Meghan thought aligning herself with Darrow, a universally respected actor, would signal that she was still connected, still admired, still in. What she didn't count on was that Darrow doesn't play palace games. Instead of quietly ignoring it, he rejected it in a way that got around fast. Hollywood fast. Industry whispers fast. And that's when the meme machine turned on. What Meghan hoped would be a soft relaunch of her brand turned into a running joke. People started calling it a bribe in a basket. Even her own homemade wine got dragged. Social media had a field day mocking the idea that someone who insists she left royalty behind is still slapping HRH on luxury items like it's a discount code. The basket didn't just flop, it exposed her. It exposed the disconnect between how Meghan sees herself and how the industry actually sees her now. Because the truth is, her Hollywood dream hasn't exactly been working out. Spotify pulled the plug, Netflix reportedly scaled down their deal, the Oprah circle rumored to be drifting. Even her birthday this year barely got public attention, with only a legal rep bothering to post anything. That's a brutal fall from the glitzy beginnings she imagined when she and Harry stepped away from royal life. This basket then wasn't just about Robert Darrow. It was about everything Meghan's been trying to claw back. Attention, validation, and a place at the table. But the moment he sent it back, the illusion cracked. Because when the most respected voices in the room start laughing instead of applauding, there's nowhere left to hide. And Meghan, she was left holding an empty basket. Robert Darrow's quiet but brutal rejection did more than just embarrass Meghan. It blew the lid off a strategy she's been running on for years. Her whole brand has been propped up by a careful cocktail of prestige, proximity, and press manipulation. It's never really been about substance. It's about looking like she belongs, sounding like she matters, and moving in circles that validate her. And for a while, it worked. She had Oprah. She had Netflix, she had Spotify, she had royal titles that she used even after being asked not to. But with every passing misfire, the cracks have widened. The HRH basket moment wasn't an isolated incident. According to insiders, she's been sending similar gift baskets to several Hollywood power players, producers, actors, even media executives, and they've all seen through it. Some send them back, others quietly pass them off to assistants, a few just ghost her altogether. The common thread is this: no one's biting. These aren't thank yous, they're strategic feelers. Meghan isn't networking, she's cold calling with ribbon. And Hollywood isn't amused, because this isn't the royal bubble anymore, where status can be inherited and PR disasters get buried under protocol. This is Los Angeles. Image is cutthroat, and once people start laughing, it's hard to recover. And Meghan, she's giving them a reason to laugh. From the outside, it looks like she's still playing Duchess, still using royal tags, still treating celebrities like curders, still acting like influence can be bought in bulk. But she doesn't see that the rules have changed. When Meghan showed up in Hollywood post-royal split, she had the spotlight. Everyone wanted to know what she'd do next. A podcast, a docu-series, a new wave of activism. She had deals lined up, cameras rolling, headlines spinning. But then came the reality. The content didn't stick. Spotify straight up said her show wasn't sustainable. Netflix promised empire shrunk into scattered, underwhelming projects. Her children's content, cooking shows, lifestyle ideas, none of them grabbed attention. It was all smoke, no fire. And here's where the strategy really starts to fall apart. Because in the absence of solid wins, Meghan leaned harder into the illusion. She doubled down on the HR branding. She put more polish on the packaging. She tried to create the perception of demand by sending out lavish baskets and hoping someone important would bite. But no one did. Because the second the product stops delivering, the packaging starts looking like a distraction. And that's exactly how Niro saw. This wasn't a warm, thoughtful gesture. It was a clumsy move to tie herself to his name, a shortcut to relevance, and to someone like him, that's insulting. He doesn't need Meghan's wine. He doesn't want her royal drama. He definitely doesn't want to be dragged into a PR ploy thinly disguised as a birthday gift. What's worse is how public the humiliation became. The story leaked fast. Not just the rejection, but the way it happened, the tone, the comment, the bluntness of it. It wasn't a soft no. It was a rejection that made people smirk. And in a town like Hollywood, smirking is fatal. Suddenly, the Duchess isn't just seen as disconnected. She's seen as desperate. And desperation has a scent. Celebrities started distancing themselves. There were no posts of support, no influencers defending her, not even a thank you. But not for me, just silence. Because in this world, being aligned with someone who looks like they're trying too hard is a liability. Meghan became radioactive not because of any one mistake, but because of the pattern, the missteps, the overreach, the empty flexing. And this time, the rejection couldn't be buried. It wasn't just a gift basket, it was a message, one that said, we see what you're trying to do, and it's not working. The silence that followed Robert Daro's rejection wasn't just awkward, it was chilling. No Alistair stepped forward, no friendly statement appeared, no public figure tried to soften the blow. Meghan Markle, who once sat beside Oprah and appeared on the front of Time, was now met with the one thing that hits hardest in Hollywood: indifference. And in this industry, when people stop talking, that's when the real damage sets in. It wasn't just that Niro declined the basket, it was how fast the story spread behind closed doors. It became a running joke. The HRH wine, the luxury jam jars, the handwritten note with the unmistakable flair of someone who still sees herself as royal. Assistants laughed, execs rolled their eyes. People who once might have welcomed her name attached to a cause or campaign now viewed it like a red flag. Because this wasn't just about branding anymore, it was about credibility. And Meghan's was starting to crack under its own weight. Her team tried to stay quiet, no public rebuttals, no clarification. But in Hollywood, doing nothing sometimes says more than doing too much. The public saw a woman who once demanded her independence now trying to buy her way into a circle that had already moved on. It wasn't confidence. It looked like panic. And that's the worst thing to show when you're still trying to climb. The irony is Meghan could have built something real. She had the spotlight. She had sympathy. She had a story people were ready to root for. But instead of carving a new path, she kept repackaging the same royal image with a different bow. With love, Meghan became her brand's tagline. But to many, it read more like a punchline. Critics said it lacked substance. Viewers weren't connecting. The whole thing felt overproduced, underthought, and weirdly hollow. And then came the money question. Why was she pouring hundreds of dollars into vanity gifts when reports about financial pressure were already swirling? The Spotify fallout, the Netflix pullback, the whispers about Harry's upcoming memoir being the last card they could play. Suddenly, her expensive PR gestures weren't just annoying, they felt tone-deaf. In an era when audiences are smarter than ever, throwing money at branding without backing it up doesn't scream success, it screams insecurity. And Robert Niro, he became the unofficial voice of what many in Hollywood were already thinking. Not because he gave a speech or posted a rant, but because he did what most people wouldn't dare. He said no. Not politely, not vaguely, just flat out no. And that one gesture did more to expose Meghan's struggling image than any tabloid ever could. The domino effect has already started. Projects have stalled. Old allies are stepping back. Some A-listers are reportedly making sure not to be photographed with her at events. Even those who once championed her narrative are going quiet because, as now associating with Meghan doesn't feel bold, it feels risky. The harsh truth is, her royal connection was the engine that powered everything. But that engine's running on fumes. And the harder she tries to revive it through baskets, branding, or borrowed prestige, the more it highlights just how far she's drifted from where she started. This isn't a woman being pushed out. This is a woman overplaying her hand in a room full of people who already folded. Robert Darrow didn't just turn down a birthday gift. He delivered a reality check, one that echoed through every corridor of Hollywood, one that said, no amount of wine or handwritten tags can buy your way back in. And now Meghan stands at the edge of an industry that no longer sees her as an asset, but as a cautionary tale.